Nathan Sages, or Shredded Sages, is a primal lifter and an online coach according to his Instagram bio, and he gives some of the worst fitness advice I've seen online. From promoting sunning your balls
When you sun your balls, it synthesizes your balls to produce double the amount of tests.
to saying chicken is bad protein.
Small is because you think chicken and rice is going to give you gains. Are you dumb?
He gives out some questionable advice at best. So today, in an effort to undermine his credibility and shed light on the darkness that is his content, I'm going to be picking 3 of his videos and dissecting them point by point and proving why he doesn't deserve to be coaching people online.
Spamming lateral raises is not going to give you big shoulders, and here's why. Most of your androgen receptors are in the traps, shoulders, and chest. And the best way to activate and grow these receptors is by training heavy. This is why your traps blow up from deadlifting even though you're not doing that many reps. To get your shoulders as big as possible, train them as heavy as possible so they have the most amount of androgen receptors.
I'm going to give credit where credit is due. Most of the androgen receptors are actually in the neck and shoulders. Now, I actually looked at the study he's referencing here, and it's pretty apparent that he just selectively read the abstract on the PubMed page and picked what fit his preconceived notions of training. He's correct that the results showed that androgen receptor content was greater for high-intensity training than higher volume training. The study does say that these results demonstrated that a higher volume of resistance exercise resulted in down regulation of androgen receptor content 1 hour post-exercise, meaning higher volume decreases androgen receptor content. So, I mean, I guess I'm wrong and he's right on all accounts, right? Wrong. Come on, dude. That's not what we're here for. Use your noodle. The reason he's wrong is we're doing lateral raises for something called hypertrophy, not increasing androgen receptor content. The study only looked at androgen receptor content, testosterone levels, and cortisol, but it failed to analyze actual muscle hypertrophy. And while androgen receptors play a big role in hypertrophy, there are other factors like muscle swelling, satellite cell content, and myofibril damage that play a larger role in the context of hypertrophy and ultimately makes higher volume training superior. A 2019 review on advanced resistance training techniques and methods states that higher resistance training volume, being 28 to 30 sets per week per muscle group, is associated with greater increases in hypertrophy compared to lower volume 6 to 10 sets per muscle per week in both untrained and trained populations. This review is both more current, a culmination of studies rather than just one, and concerned with hypertrophy rather than androgen receptor content, making it more valid and a better guideline to follow when we're concerned with actually growing the delts. So sure, heavy weight is good and it'll increase androgen receptor content, but homie in the video was wanting to talk about growing your shoulders. You didn't give a fuck about androgen receptor content. So please, if you're wanting to grow your shoulders, follow actual hypertrophy principles and don't just try to increase androgen receptor content because it sounds good. Also, side note, deadlifts aren't going to work your traps through a full range of motion for nearly enough sets and reps for hypertrophy. Deadlifts is probably also the worst stimulus to fatigue ratio you could have for any muscle group. So no, don't do deadlifts for fucking growing your traps either. Come on.
The reason you guys are small is because you come home and you drink this bullshit right here. You realize protein powder is not even bio.
I'm going to stop it right there. I actually pulled up the study he's looking at, and it's super helpful for his case that the reference he uses is from an online protein store that has zero ties to any medical or scientific organization. And it also helps that company is also showing their own 99% absorption rate isolate protein. So, I mean, it's totally not like they're trying to shamelessly promote their own protein and fabricate their own results, right? No.
Instead, stop being a lazy bitch and come home and eat protein that's actually bioavailable, like some red meat. Or you could keep drinking this shit and keep seeing no gains.
So saying whey, quote, isn't even bioavailable, isn't even ignorant, it's just plain wrong. Looking at this table from the 2004 review from Department of Health and Exercise Science from the College of New Jersey, we can see that whey actually has a higher protein efficiency, biological value, net protein utilization, and protein digestibility corrected amino acid score compared to literally every other food on this list, including beef, which he mentions in this video is being superior to whey. The only one that it's a slightly worse than is an egg. So, I mean, Eddie Abu, hats off to you. You really got it with that one.
Your final service. 你做邊個都有放。
This means that whey has a better amino acid profile and is the easiest protein to digest for the human body. And if you think about it for 2 seconds, it makes sense. Whey is just the watery part of milk, not just some lab-grown mystery powder that this guy thinks it is. I will concede that actual beef and actual meat has a better micronutrient profile and is going to be a more whole and complete food than just whey. But the thing is, whey is just a supplement. It's only for people that are trying to supplement their protein. It's like refusing to take fish oils because they're not going to have as much protein as an actual fish. I'm like, come on. While some companies selling whey protein might not be telling the full story of the ingredients present, it's ignorant to just assume that all companies do this and that all protein is useless in all scenarios. In order to check if your protein is top tier, you can see if it's Inform Protein certified, meaning it's tested to see if there's no fillers or if it's amino spiked. So there is ways to see if your whey protein is actually just top tier stuff. Whey protein is going to be fine. It's good stuff. And now, before this video starts, I'm actually going to say in the caption, there is some good advice regarding people swinging the weight. A lot of people use too much momentum, especially on lateral raises, and then it starts to involve things like traps, stuff like that. It just takes the tension away from your shoulders as well. So that's actually pretty good advice.
If you want massive calf shoulders, stop doing lateral raises like this. Do this instead. Stop before you get to the bottom and pause it right here and then go back up like this. And then once you get to failure, then you can bounce it a little. So start like this and then end like this. Do this for 2 to 3 sets and you'll have massive shoulders.
Did you guys notice something with this video? It's kind of a change of pace from the first video that promotes high weight training in order to grow your delts.
Spamming lateral raises is not going to give you big shoulders, and here's why.
I mean, it's almost like he's changing his opinion so that he can maximize the amount of rage on his posts and maximize the amount of audience engagement, which increases his overall views. Now, again, credit where credit is due. Constant tension on the muscles creates a greater pooling of the blood and lactic acid in the muscle, causing hypertrophy through a multitude of different avenues. This is kind of the training that Hani Rambod promotes, is keeping constant tension on the muscles.
And it also keeps constant tension.
This is an effective way to train, and it's similar to something even like BFR training or blood flow restriction training, where you wrapped a band or other device around the arm to cause the blood and lactic acid to pool up, having that kind of similar effect, but you can train with something like 20 or 30% of the weight you typically use. Sean Nalawanji, sorry if I only ever say that name in my head. I don't know how to say it actually, but he put it best in his article on constant tension training when he said, if you get to the point in the set where you're using up to 95% of what the muscle is capable of, then it doesn't matter how you got there and the hypertrophic response will be the same. So this constant tension stuff sounds good, but all that really matters ultimately is that you're pushing the muscle to 95% of what it's capable of doing. Pertaining to the movement though, this advice really sucks for one specific reason, and that's going to be that it takes out the stretched position, and that's actually a lacking of the lateral raise in general. Like a dumbbell lateral raise doesn't have a lot of tension in the stretched position of the delt, and stopping it before you get to the bottom just aggravates that issue even more. A 2024 review concluded that based on current literature, it appears that utilizing a full range of motion biases longer muscle lengths should be the default approach to exercise technique when trying to maximize hypertrophy. So this stopping the movement at the bottom takes away from the most hypertrophic portion of the movement, ultimately resulting in being less effective. So not only does he contradict himself from the first video that we looked at, he's just plain wrong in this one as well. So using constant tension is fine and good form is great advice, but don't take it out at the bottom of the move. So this isn't even the tip of the iceberg when it comes to this guy. Like I said, he even has some wackier videos talking about testosterone spiking with like sunning your balls, and then not using toothpaste because the fluoride blocks your pituitary.
Never use toothpaste. You realize this shit kills your taxes?
So, I mean, he gets into some kind of like tinfoil hat, like conspiracy stuff, but I'm not going to fully cover these in depth because it doesn't take an exercise scientist to understand that natural methods of testosterone boosting, other than optimal rest, diet, and training, aren't going to do anything for testosterone levels. And even if they are going to do something, the minor bump isn't going to mimic like a fraction of actual like testosterone replacement therapy. If he ever replies and if he ever just goes like, oh, but you're fat, because that, you know, seems to be the way that he likes to reply, I'll just say this. You're actually right and I'm all wrong on all accounts.